Greetings and salutations. I have Mr. David Reeves here. He is an agent at the Dig Agency who has worked both face-to-face successfully and telesales successfully. And the reason I have him here is to really go into the differences of what it's like to sell insurance on a face-to-face basis, but also on a telesales basis, to talk about the good, the not so good, and the ugly, right? So I talked with David. He's going to give you his honest opinion on what's good and bad so that you guys out there who are watching this can get a better perspective about selling insurance as a whole, what it's like to sell face to face, what it's like to sell over the phone, and really, most importantly, where you should hang your hat, which direction you should go. By the way, David is a very successful agent. Last month in telesales with us, he wrote 21,640 AP. So this is coming from somebody who knows what he's doing. So that's the important thing. So David, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic, David. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you so much for doing this again. David did an interview with me about a year or so. Appreciate you coming back and setting time aside to do this. So, okay. So let's start from the very, very beginning. Why did you get into the insurance business to begin with?
I had been in other entrepreneurial endeavors before that, and I was looking for something that I could really, I guess you'd say, learn and just really focus on. And I got into the insurance business. I came into the career program a little over a year ago, and I went face to face with Joe. Joe was my coach,
Right.
and I was face to face. I came in April of 2023, and I did face to face until I switched over to telesales, which I did that. I actually started doing that at the beginning of July. Actually, it was the second week in July, so I missed the first
Oh,
week there.
wow. And still had great numbers anyway. So that's good.
Okay. And so it's okay. David asked me, he said, tell me what the difference is. The main
Yeah.
difference, yeah, the main difference really, when you get right down to it, is there's a little bit of a mindset difference when you're face to face. You get up, you've got your leads, and you kind of have your route planned, and I don't know, I guess it's more it I don't know, it's more versus telesales. If you like people and you like intermixing with people, meeting people in person, then face to face might very well be something that you want to consider. I liked it. I did a lot of it. Did it for right about a
About a
year.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, did it for about a year, and then I decided to switch over to telesales. And the change with telesales is that right now we have such a good system with the telesales. We have a great coach with Tim, and we have a great system. Back before, I had always heard that, okay, well, if you're telesales, you're going to be grinding away. It's all you're going to be doing all day long. You're going to, there'll be lots of time there where you're just grinding away. But so far here in my first month, I really haven't found that to be the case too much, because
Hmm.
the system, that the dialer that we're using right now, is reaching out to so many people at one time that it's usually a very short period between calls to where you have somebody live again on the other end of the line. And so that really cuts down on a lot of the grind, because you're talking to people constantly, or with very short intervals in between, really.
Sure.
And so I would tell you that you get more opportunities, far more opportunities at sales with telesales than you ever will in the field. Now, my best week in the field was about, let's see, I think it was, I sold 7 policies. It's either 7 or 8, but anyway, I think that was it, 7 policies in one week. And I did that actually more than one time.
Right.
I come into the telesales, and my first week, I kind of had low expectations. I thought, okay, I'm going to be dialing the old leads, and we'll just see how this goes. We're just going to have to learn our way through this thing. And I went through the training, and I got started on July the 8th, and I managed to get 7 sales that first week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did work 6 days. I went through Saturday, and I got my seventh sale Saturday evening before I quit. And so I pretty much equaled what I did in the field, and I did it in the first week.
And that's with our old gold leads too. That's an incredible feat And just for the sake of the audience, we start our telesales agents with what's called our old gold leads. And the reason we do that is because, first of all, we self-generate the leads ourselves. That's not garbage crap that you're finding with a lot of other IMOs. Like, these are leads that were freshly created at us with our organization at some point that just haven't been closed yet. And daily, tons of agents are closing these pieces of business. So they're high quality leads, but it's a way to kind of train a new agent before we start feeding them fresh leads, because we definitely want you on fresh leads, but the age leads just has so much value in them that they're a great way for new agents to start and learn the script, get up and running, et cetera, with a little less pressure than that you would when you have fresh leads, because there's a definite expectation to sell those, and if you don't, then might have to cut you. So cool, so good. So you wrote the same amount on telesales in the first week, old gold, as you did with fresh leads face to face. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so what are you noticing about the sales process? Is it easier to sell over the phone? Is it harder to sell over the phone? What's your thought as it compares to face to face?
If you can get in front of someone in face to face, now that's a big caveat. If you can get in front of someone, okay. But so assuming that you can, if you can get in front of someone face to face, the actual sell itself is easier face to face because you're in the flesh. They see you. You're able to interact with them. You're able to smile. You're able to watch their facial expressions, all of that. So if you can get in front of them, they're home, they open the door, and you can get in, it's easier on face to face. However, I would tell you the caveat there is that even if it's a little bit, you have to be more perceptive on telesales, that there's so much training back there right now. The training is very in depth from some of our top producers, guys that have been doing this a lot longer than me. You can pick up what to watch for real quickly on telesales, and you can be successful with it because even if it's a learning curve, you're going to get many more opportunities to master your skills, so to speak. And I'm still learning right now. I mean, there's a lot that I need to learn, and that's what we talk about. We do daily sales trainings now. In fact, we've got one coming up here within an hour, and so your opportunities are just literally unlimited here, especially once you really start learning, start writing policies, because then you can even get to better leads, and that even makes even conversions even that much easier.
So you have so one thing is the sale is easier face to face. So that's something you've kind of had to give up to some extent. I mean, obviously you're making sales on someone over the phone, so it's not terribly different, but there's definitely an easier impact in person than over the phone, which I definitely would agree with. What are you giving up now that you're on, like, okay, so let's think about telesales. Like, what are the advantages of selling over the phone that you gain now doing telesales that you didn't necessarily have selling face to face?
Oh, it's much easier to come into your home office. Okay, you can come into your home office. You can dress casually. I mean, when I was out in the field, I always wore a collared shirt, just similar to what I have on right now, and I always wore Dockers. Okay, I didn't even wear jeans out in the field, and so I always, I would get up, shower, get dressed. Okay, put gas in the car. Okay, you're off to the races. Usually off to a long drive to that first lead.
Right. Yeah.
And that's usually, and now I want to say this too. This is a very key caveat here about the face to face. I only worked the entire time I was out in the field. I only worked the more difficult leads out in the field, known as digital leads. Okay, I never worked the mailers. That's a big difference between working the mailers and working digital leads. And because digital leads are spread way out, and so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to drive the universe to get to these people. And then sometimes when you get there, they may not be home. And so you face all that in face to face. And but whereas it's so easy to come into your home office and just get right on get right on it and get going. Now the flip side, the thing that I liked about face to face when I left, it was 100%. I was at work. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. When I walked out that door, it was until I got back 10, 11, 12 hours later, whatever it was. Okay, now when I pulled back up in the driveway and parked the car and came in, then you could just relax, have dinner or whatever you needed to do. So I liked the fact that work and home life were separated. I like that about face to face, and I've had to adjust a little bit and put some barriers up, so to speak, to keep the two apart now that I'm working here remotely, over the telephone.
Sure, sure, yeah. That is something. We had an agent, Melissa, who what she did because she was getting cabin fever, right? She had her two fur babies and herself at home all the time, and she just eventually rented space at a co-op workspace and just drove 10 minutes to the office and sat there. And so it gave her the feeling that she was going to work, right? So she was less distracted by doing the dishes or cleaning up the house or whatever,
Mhm.
so the little tricks we have to play on ourselves. So okay. Yeah, oh yeah, the leads thing. I wanted to mention that. Yeah, that is the biggest challenge with face to face. That's part of the reason we at the Dig Agency have made a hard pivot over the past couple of years to telesales, is because the acquisition cost and the price to pay to sell final expense in person is so high now that it's just a very difficult business to run if you're running a direct mail business. In Texas, direct mail is easily 55 bucks. And, if you're selling one out of five, your acquisition cost is $250 to $300. And you can still squeeze some money out of that, but like you got to add in the drive time, that can be an hour to 2 hours away. Um, you're not as efficient, arguably. Granted, you're selling more of your sales, I would say, on face to face, but with telesales, somebody hangs up on you next lead, you just go to the next one. So again, some definitely trade-offs, but that's part of the issue, I think, with face to face is it's just been so expensive to run a business on even for a free lead model using direct mail because of just how high postage has gotten, and people just aren't as responsive anymore to direct mailers. They're not even taking the bait on Walmart leads anymore, or that kind of stuff. So
That's what I hear. I hear that
yeah.
even the direct mail is not as responsive as what it used to be, you know.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this too, David. It's interesting. I would say 9 out of 10 of our applicants are telesales now, and people just don't want to work in the field. I can't blame them. The idea of driving an hour or two away, it's a grind if you got a family, and but I liked it. I always enjoyed it when I was face to face, but all the carriers are pretty much aligned now for telesales. It's doable for a lot of people, and the masses have spoken. I mean, like 9 out of 10 people, they just don't want to sell face to face. They just don't
Yeah, that's
want to do it.
and I would also make the argument too, and I don't think it's much of an argument. I think everybody would be in agreement if they had seen what I've seen over the last year. I really do believe that face to face has changed significantly in just the last 5 to 6 years. Okay. And now you go back, say 2018, 2019, the pandemic hadn't come. That came in 2020. Okay.
Right.
So we had the pandemic, everybody started getting on the phones and things like that. And then what I saw personally and experienced again and again, and I tried to ignore it, and I would buy another batch of leads and get back out there and try to compensate for it, if you will. But what I really experienced is basically there's two big things, in my opinion, that's happened to face since the pandemic that are kind of overlooked a lot. And one of them is the fact that a lot of these people that were formerly retired, probably maybe 5, 6 years ago, a lot of these people have had to go back to work because of high inflation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I saw it again and again and again. I would
Hmm.
get to a house, and the spouse would answer, and the other one was at work. Can you come back later? Now you're looking at a one-legger, and you just
Right.
go all the way out there. I had it happen again and again. And then I had a lot of them that the doors never came open. Okay. I would take a batch of leads and I would lay them down. There were 2 or 3 times that I would just lay them down on the floor and I'd say, okay, who did I never even have any contact with, period? And it was a very high percentage. I mean, something like maybe 35 to 40%
Yeah.
of those people they never, and I would try to call them too. And of course, when
Yeah.
you just have a small batch of leads, good luck on getting somebody to pick up the phone. It's not like what we're doing in telesales where we have hundreds or even thousands of leads. You're going to get somebody to pick up the phone if you're working the dialer. But
Right.
when you're working, in the field and you have, 5, 10 people here off of a batch of leads that didn't even answer the door, they won't answer the phone. Those leads are of no good to you. And
Yeah.
the other thing too, and I'll bring this up because I saw this in my own family. I have relatives in my own family who don't live with me, okay, that do what I'm seeing a lot of these people start to do out in the field, and that is uh, they're home. There has been times I know they're home. I have beat that door, gone around, beat on the back, and they just will not open that door.
Yeah.
Crime is high nowadays. They're afraid of people coming to the house. Who is that out there? I don't know. It's some guy. And again, I dress, I always wore a collared shirt. I look just like I pretty much look right now. So they weren't looking through the peephole at Charles Manson. Okay. Okay. And so they
Yeah.
still would not open the door. I remember one house in particular, not very far from where I live, probably about maybe 6, 7 miles, very close. And I went by there 2 times. Garage door open, 4 cars in the driveway. I beat both doors. They were not going to open that door. And so you
Yeah.
got people that are home that are afraid to open the door, okay, for strangers. They don't know who you are. We live in kind of an uncertain time right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So you got that. And then you've got the other people. Okay, let me mention this to you. Vendor leads, okay? You're generating people who are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, okay? Pretty much 50s, 60s, 70s. Sometimes we get maybe somebody in their 80s mixed in there, okay? But so you got 50s, 60s, and 70s. Well, I learned very quickly, okay, if you have Bob who's 55 years old, okay, my chances of coming to Bob's house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever time I come
Yeah.
up during the day, and Bob being home and answering the door for me, my chances are slim to none. And guess what? Slim just rode out of town. Okay.
Right.
Because Bob, you know where Bob's at? He's at work.
Yeah.
He's out working. And I've even had him. So what I did, I would take the younger leads, like the people in their 50s and even 60s. A lot of these people in their 60s are still out working. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I would take those younger leads and I would try to run those in the evening time. So now you're set up, you're in a compressed zone. You're running the others up during the day, trying to get deals. And then you're going to start hitting those other ones in the evening all the way up till 8:30, 9 o'clock sometimes. Okay, good luck, because sometimes they're not even still back home.
Yeah.
Or our kid
Yeah.
will answer the door. Oh yeah, he came home earlier, but he had to go to a second job. Okay.
Right. Right.
So you
Yeah.
just got a lot of people that have gone back to work because of high inflation in their 50s and 60s. And, it's funny because I got a call where you stop off and pick up something at Brahms. We have these Brahms ice cream and dairy stores. And I went in there to pick up something and went to the checkout. Guess who's up there at the checkout checking me out? 80-year-old Mildred. Okay. Okay. And I've seen her in there
Founder.
times. Okay. So what are the chances that when you're doing face to face, you're going to catch these people at home? It's increasingly difficult. And that's ultimately what drove me to actually switch back over to telesales.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate, these same people, you can call them and they're going to be out and about. So why is it better to do it, to experience this kind of frustration over the phone than in person?
Because you can still get to somebody that you can talk to much quicker over the phone. I mean, I saw that yesterday. I was on the dialer yesterday, and hey, I cannot talk right now. I'm at work, and you could hear people talking in the background and all that. Okay, and then all of a sudden the phone hung up. Okay, hey, no sweat off of me. I didn't drive 50 miles to see you. Okay, so I can
Yeah.
I can do a click of the mouse, and I can have that dialer getting to that next person. Okay. And yeah, you're going to have people at work. You're going to have people that still hang up and say they can't talk, but you can still move forward because you've got the volume of leads to be able to do that.
Right.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter nearly as much when you have, like in the free lead program, literally infinite leads
Mm-hmm.
versus the set of 25 or 30 face to face. Because if like one or two don't show, you could burn 2 hours. driving around in circles to hope someone's home. Whereas you'd be on the dialer at home,
Mhm.
probably talking to people and getting into a presentation, so.
Yeah, you can get into it much quicker on the dialer than you can out into the field. I think that the tipping point, I hate to admit this because it's what I call, we say the good, the bad, the ugly. It was
Yeah.
ugly, but I'll tell you about 3 months ago, I had bought a batch of leads and I purposely bought them out of my territory, okay, because I knew I hadn't worked this other territory. It's about 2 hours away.
Okay.
And I actually had an appointment down in that area, again, a 2 hour drive from here, for a husband and wife. And so I started out at around 8 o'clock in the morning, got down there for the 10:30 appointment. And you guessed it, they weren't there. They stood me up. And I had all kinds of leads down in that area. And it was just one of those days where I never could connect with people. They either weren't home. I had a couple that didn't have any budget,
Yeah.
nothing. And so I remember driving back in and I pulled up out here in the garage around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. I remember I started at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I pulled up and I got out of the car and I looked in the back seat. That laptop computer had never left the back seat all day. And I went in there and looked at the tripometer on the car, and it said 383 miles. That was my
Right.
1 day record, 383 miles, zero presentations and zero sales. So you have to, if you're going to be in the field, you have to know you're going to have ups and downs.
Right. Right. And that's true for telesales. I mean, you'll be on the phone sometimes and nobody buys either.
That actually happened. It's funny. We're on. I think this is Wednesday. Monday. Had a rough day on the phone, and nobody bought on the phone Monday. And then yesterday, 2 deals.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have it. When you come into the insurance business, you're going to have those kind of times, no matter whether you're face to face or on the phone.
So as we wrap this up, David, thank you so much for sharing the honest truth between what you've experienced on telesales and face to face. What last piece of advice would you give agents who are trying to decide, should I sell in person? Should I sell over the phone? Like, what would you tell them to help them make a decision?
I would tell you that if you want, if you're leaning towards selling in person, you need to know that you can start with the digital leads, okay? Because you can start turning deals, start getting cash coming in. So it will work in the beginning. You can start with those digital leads, but you're going to need to pivot at some point. Maybe, I don't know, a few months into it or something like that. You're going to have to pivot to either mailer leads if you can to stay in the field, or you're going to have to pivot to telesales because you can't stay long term on digital leads in the field without driving the universe and
Yeah.
dealing with the stuff that I just shared with you here on the video about people not being home and people not opening the door. That
Yeah.
would
And
be
go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
No, that's pretty much my
Okay.
advice is just understand that you can start with the digital leads, but you're going to need to pivot at some point in one direction or the other, either invest in mailers or invest in licenses in order to write business for telesales. And that was kind of the fork in the road. I said, am I going to really take my last dollar, so to speak, and invest it in mailers that are not going to come back for another month and a half before they start trickling back in? Or am I just going to go out here and get some licenses and start writing
Yeah.
business in these other states? You're going to have an investment either way, either in licenses for telesales
Right.
or in mailers for face to face. I guess that would be the way I would sum it up.
Yeah. And I'll kind of leave it at this. We support both face to face and telesales. 90% plus of our applications are telesales. Um, People really love the infrastructure that we have, especially in the free leads program. We support agents that want to buy their own leads too, but with the free lead system, that's where most of our new agents go. And it really is just turnkey. You just get in there, you get on the dialer. The leads are great. The culture is great. If you want to work hard, we want you there, right? You can work as much as you want to. And, it's amazing. I mean, how things have changed. I've been at this since 2011, and face to face is pretty much dead. And I hate to say it that way. I mean, it's still out there. I mean, it's still a great opportunity, but the biggest impediment's the cost of doing business. It's just so expensive to get the best leads in many states where incidentally most agents live. And, it's just difficult, so, but we support both. We have a free lead program for face-to-face too. And ultimately you need to follow your instincts. Like, where do you feel you're strongest at is where I would tell you to go. But we can support you either way. So, David, thank you for being here. Appreciate you taking some time out to do this. For the rest of you out there, if you're interested to learn more about joining the Dig Agency, go to davidduford.com. Watch the overview video that first appears when you get there, and then also watch the FAQ videos. We put out a lot of content to tell you about exactly what you're getting into if you're considering joining the Dig Agency. We don't want to leave any stone unturned. We also do a Q&A call live twice a week where you can ask us questions. It's very straightforward. Again, we don't want to pull any punches. And then at that point, if you like what you hear, you can apply and then get into an interview. If it's a good application, we think you're a good fit, so that we can determine mutually if the fit is good. Whether you're doing face-to-face or telesales, free leads, or buying your own, all of that is required. So again, David, thank you for doing this. And audience out there, thank you for watching. We'll see you.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great day.